But let's move into the last topic, and it's the main event. We are doing the NBA Draft Mailbag, coming from the comments you have left on the NBA Mock Draft 4.0 we did last week, from the 1 through 10 segment, from the 11 through 20 segment, through the 21 through 30, and even the full podcast. So we are super excited to go through all of your questions. We're going to start off with not really a question, but this one's coming from Jamal Cofield, who was not a fan of our 3.0 as well, because we disrespected the Magic. He's the Magic fan that was all pissed off. We didn't talk about him.
Well, I mean, if you're a fan of a team, like...
No, we got it, and we tried to make right by it. And he said, I'm probably going to stop watching your guys' mock draft unless all teams are discussed for a few minutes. These are turning into favorites out of the bunch of discussions. We responded on the actual comment as well, but we'll do it here as well. I think it's something that's very fair, and it's something that we all talked about, and something that we're going to try to do now is when we're doing the teams where Ricky's like, at number 1 I have the Suns taking Zion, and 2 I have the Knicks taking Ja Morant. We'll 1 through 10 will stay the same, where we will still go through every single team. But like 11 through 20, when Ricky's like, oh, the Lakers taking Keldon Johnson, I really think he's going to be a good fit for their 3-point shooting team and bolster their ability to hit 3-point shots on the outside. We'll do that more. So we'll go through, and when we say team player, we'll give a reasoning for each player why we're giving it. Just brief, just so if we do not hit that player or that team, we at least give you a little bit of background on why that's happening. Because I know some people are going to want to see their team. They don't want to see the pick. They want to see the reasoning. So we'll at least try to make that adjustment. Unless
you got, we got another comment from Bryant, who was like, wow, this is really 3.5 hours. If you guys want a 5-hour podcast, I'll give it to you.
No.
Every single pick, I'll give it to you.
Ricky can do his own 5-hour podcast.
I will give you what the people want.
I'm going to be honest with you guys.
I'm going to give you what you want.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't want to be here for 9 hours of my day. Because that's what it would be. The 3.5-hour podcast, we were here for 7 hours.
That's true.
I don't want to be here for 9
to do, you didn't have fun doing it. I had a blast doing it.
That was pretty fun.
I was ready to be done at some point.
You were dead, but I was dead, to be fair.
Yeah, you were sick. But our point is that
that's a dedication from Dave.
We don't go through every single pick in the 11 through 20 and 21 through 30. Is because every single one will be Ricky. Shut up. We'll be doing.
Got it stuck in my head.
You got it stuck in your own damn head.
Dave started singing it.
Well, we're gonna be, if we do that, every segment would be an hour and a half. So then that would lead to 4.5 hours of podcasting, and then we'd have to do Wet Boys and all that stuff too.
I agree, hit 5.
Yeah. With that, we will at least try to make some adjustments. So at least we do mention every team at the start, and then we'll get into deeper discussions after we do the picks. And if we don't get into the deeper discussions with your teams, hopefully we covered it enough for your team for the mock draft. But when you do comment, make sure you throw out. Give us ideas, because 11 through 20, we're always looking for ideas. We're always looking for players, and we're always going to be going to the players we want to talk about. We want to talk about things that we want to talk about, or things that you guys want to talk about. So give us ideas and give us players to talk about. But let's jump into the questions. First one's coming from Original One. Darius Garland was a traditional point guard in high school. I think he is just showing that he can shoot in college to get drafted. If Morant and Barrett are off the board, Bulls should go with Coby White, Hachimura, Brandon Clark. I'm guessing he's listing these guys in orders. Yeah. And isn't Daniel Gafford a better center than Hayes? So, Ricky, you picked this question and you want it for yourself. So, talk about it, I guess.
I mean, I picked it because I completely agree. I completely agree with the fact that I have not been as high on Darius Garland as both you two have. Where, to me, it's the compound of him, A, being injured, and 2, because of not seeing a big sample size, I don't know exactly what I'm getting. I don't want to buy the used car and then it's got a ton of problems with it, or I thought that he was going to be able to do this and he can't do this. Well, I look at his list and I go, Rui I really like, but I don't know if on the Bulls if I take him that high. The Coby White one was the reason why I wanted to pick this comment, because I could see, based off of what I've seen, especially from Coby White, and then even with the small sample size of that one game in the tournament, he is most likely going to be a top 10 pick for me in our next mock. And if he has a good combine, he could be a guy where people go, maybe the point guards are Ja Morant and then Coby White instead of Ja Morant, Darius Garland.
I will say, at least in the point of Darius Garland, it was more of a traditional point guard in what's it called? In high school. I think that I am going to disagree there, just because when you watch the film that is out there on him, A lot of it is just his scoring ability. And yes, he probably
You're
passed
talking about
more.
Darius Garland.
Yeah, and with Garland, yeah, I mean, he's not going to average 2 assists in college. It's not going to be like, or in the NBA. It's not going to be like Colin Sexton. He's much more of a willing passer, and that was something that we tried to bring up. But he's not going to be like John Morant, where one of his main goals on offense is to move the ball around.
Yeah.
Darius Garland is going to be a guy that shoots a ton in the NBA. He's going to try to score every single possession, and if he doesn't, he'll pass the ball up. But if he feels like he can take his man one-on-one, he will do so. I don't think that is just a college thing just to get drafted. I think that's in his DNA. I think he's a guy that wants to score on every single time he touches the ball. So I think that's the worry that I have. I'm not saying that he's not going to, he's not going to be like Kobe and never pass the ball. I'm not saying that. I think that he is a decent passer as well. I think he's more capable of a passer than Colin Sexton. I just don't think he's going to be a guy that his first thought on every offensive possession is going to be passing.
He wants to score.
If he feels he's going to take the guy one-on-one, he's going to try to score. And that's the thing with Darius Garland. And that's not a problem with him. No. I just don't think that's going to work with the Bulls because I think the whole point of the Bulls is they have so much talent in that starting 5. Carter, Markkanen, Porter, Levine. That team is so talented, and they need someone who can move the ball to them. And if Morant is not there, that's why I was saying let's go Culver in that mindset because he can pass the ball, he can be a secondary ball handler, and while he isn't a primary ball handler who can move the ball, he is more willing to at least try to create for others. I don't think he's as good as a ball handler as Darius Garland. Clearly, Garland has probably the best handles in this draft.
Yep.
But I do think that he is a guy that might just work within the offense rather than be the offense that Garland, I feel like, tries to do. Was trying to do at Vanderbilt.
And that's like in our mock. That's why I had like a Cam Reddish even to the Bulls instead of Coby White or Darius Garland. But out of his list, the one I would look at is my boy Rui. Because he could be a guy where I'm just saying if you look at the 3, Coby White, Hachimura, and Brandon Clark, I would look at Rui because I don't want a point guard that is, like we talked about with Ja. Ja's not going to clash with Zach LaVine. Coby White and Darius Garland might clash. Coby White.
It's like Colby Jack Cheese.
I do this. I add letters.
You don't know how to
things.
say names.
No, I just add letters into things.
Because you don't know how to say names.
No, it's a brain
Bruno
thing.
Fernandez.
Yeah, I know.
Gorga.
It just comes out like it
Colby Jack
says in here. But I would maybe think about Rui if I'm thinking these 3 guys because I wouldn't want a point guard that clashes with LaVine.
If Morant and Barrett are off the board, you're going Culver, you're going Garland, or you're going Reddish. Those are the 3 guys.
I would think Reddish.
I think
or
if they lose out on the lottery and it goes bad for them, I think if they end up at like 7, 8
or 6.
No, I'm just saying it is 7, 8. I would actually look at Coby White. I think that could be an interesting one. I think he's going to be rising on a lot of people's boards. National spotlight now is even intensified for being in the tournament. He's just an excellent 2-way player, great size. I think that he could shoot up into that top 10 range.
Do you think
he's a finalist for College Freshman of the Year? I wonder if he's going to win.
He might have some tough competition for that one.
You think so?
Do you think he could clash with Zach though?
I think he could play alongside Zach. I don't think he doesn't have the same score. Like Zach has that scores mentality where it's like balls in hands, he can't pass, but he wants to score himself.
Yeah.
I think Coby White plays unselfishly. He plays in a great system, so he would be able to come in and be able to contribute. I think for that Bulls team, if we lose out and we get bumped back beyond the range of a Garland.
Kobe does have that mindset of, I think, as well as he's going to try to score every opportunity he does get. But I think the big thing that I do like to see at Coby White's game is in transition, he's a great passer.
Yeah.
He really is a very unselfish passer in transition. And with Zach LaVine, with Otto Porter, with Markkanen, Carter too, both all capable runners. For their positions, I think that he's a guy that can give the ball up, move the ball around in transition. Half court might be a little bit too. I think that's where it might get tricky. But then you also have 2 bigs who possibly can't stretch the board. I know that Carter hasn't been able to do so in the NBA, but Markkanen clearly has been. So I think that Coby White would be a good pick. If
you mentioned pass in transition,
up.
And I just think to John Morant's tomahawk pass at the end of the game, where it's just like just whips it down there. Pinpoint accuracy. I love
Is Ja Morant good? I don't know.
Yeah, I just love talking about Ja.
And the question, too, of isn't Daniel Gafford a better center than Hayes? Yes, in ways. Both similar size. I think they're both 6'11". The thing with Gafford, though, that immediately takes him back is the age. Jaxson Hayes is younger, and Jaxson Hayes is more raw. So if you are a lottery team, and let's say you're the Pelicans, or let's say you're the Grizzlies, Not the Grizzlies need a center. But let's say if you're one of those teams, you're going to take the guy that's more raw and has more potential. Gafford, we're kind of seeing his peak already. I don't think Gafford's going to change into a different player, but Hayes can become bigger, he can become stronger, he can become a better rebounder. And one thing that I do think that Hayes does better than Gafford already, even being younger, is block the ball. He's a really good defender. He has a really good knack for stuffing shots. He has a 10.7 block percentage right now in college. I'm pretty sure his season's over. And with Gafford, Gafford started at 11.5 last year, but then fell down to 8.2. And that's this year being a sophomore. You'd like to see that be higher for a player being a sophomore, blocking more shots. And, his usage went up as well, but then also his turnover percentage, Gafford's rose as well. So everything rose for Gafford, which isn't always a positive because, you're supposed to see a jump when guys go from freshman to sophomore. They're going to be more physically dominant than the guys coming in. And you look at what Hayes has done. Hayes has a very good body. He's younger. He has very similar intensity when playing. And I think that Hayes, if he gets the right coach, he will be able to develop into a better basketball player than Gafford. I don't think Gafford has a star written on him. I think Hayes might not be a star, but he will be younger, and that's automatically going to put him above Gafford in most big boards.
I just think it comes down to what type of an NBA we're in right now, because when you look at the two, who's got the better true shooting percentage, who's got the better field goal percentage, who's got the better free throw percentage, and I'm looking right here, of course, these are per 36, and it's Hayes down the board, where Gafford isn't bad, but Gafford, to me, feels like more of a traditionaler, more set center, where Hayes, I think that teams look at it and go, hey, he can fit this new NBA of shooting from the outside, although it's not great 72. If you can do that better than 66, in Gafford's case, teams might lean towards that.
Gafford got Ivan robbed.
Yeah, I think defensively, too, a big thing that's different than him. I don't think Ivan Robb, because Ivan Robb was bad in a sophomore year. Gafford wasn't bad. Gafford still, I think, is a first-round
He was a
pick.
not late lottery. He was a mid-round first pick last year who's going to likely go in the second round this year. Gafford, I think, still has a chance to make the back half, the 23-30 section, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him fall to the second round.
I think the other thing, too, that Hayes does have is not only blocking shots, but also switching over Gafford. And when we're talking modern NBA, he's a better switcher, and Gafford does get a little bit slower when he has to go up against guards. He's a good body for guarding bigs, but I think Hayes has more versatility when it comes to at least on the defensive side of the floor. So I know people are looking at the stats of Jaxson Hayes. Look at the college he's coming from, too. Jared Allen, Mo Bamba, Jaxson Hayes. I mean, like, you're coming from a good crop of centers. Texas knows how to develop them, and I think Gafford is being slept on. But I also don't think Hayes is. You can't look directly at his stats and just be like, well, he's not grabbing.
He can't average a double-double.
He's got 10 points and 5 boards. Well, I mean, you extrapolate that to per 40, and he is averaging like 17 and 8 or something like that, with like 3 blocks. So like he is a guy that's making an impact. He's just very young. So you're really going just off of the potential of
the thing I will throw out there too is because Gafford's only a sophomore and a grade level older than what Hayes is. Looking back to back, a little bit different than Rob, where he had a greater increase in points going from 11 to 16, had more rebounds by 2, but the shooting also went up. He was 60% last year. Now with the more minutes, he's at 66%. You'd like to maybe see that grow and maybe think that, he goes from 52 to 59 in free throw. Is that progression still going to happen next year when he comes into the league?
Gafford, okay.
Yeah. Like everyththing's getting better. Is that going to continue, or is this where it's plateauing?
Yeah, and one thing, too, just to bring up the Rob thing. Like, he grew, he averaged a 1.5 more points per game because he had a higher usage rate. But, I mean, his averages went to shit. He was shooting 61. He was shooting 61.5% from the field, and then went down to 48.4. And he barely he took, instead of taking 2 threes, he took 20. I'm talking about Ivan Robb. Yeah. So like I don't think it's with the Gafford thing.
He was a big who went back to college and
I think that's the thing is I think Gafford's getting slept.
Shouldn't have gone back. It's that easy. You were a first rounder last year. You should have gone back.
Gafford's still a first rounder.
Easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gafford should still be a first rounder. If you don't have him first round, then you're sleeping on him.
I don't think.
You had him at 30.
Okay.
Slow your fucking roll.
I still think he's a first rounder. Is he not a first rounder? Is 30
I
not
don't
in the
know.
first round?
I don't know if he's going to be a first rounder. That's what I'm saying.
What's his?
I think
his
you go
down,
25 through 35.
What's his negatives?
I think the fact that he, right now, good athleticism, but he's not quick enough on his feet. His outside shot's not consistent. His inside shot isn't as efficient as it could be. So when you have someone who's not quite great at stretching the floor, but also not incredibly efficient finishing at the rim, you're in no man's land. Like in the NBA, you want to be amazing from the inside, or you want to be amazing, or you want to be passable from the outside, a la like Brook Lopez, but like not as efficient as he is now because he's just incredible. But like you have that ability. Having a great, okay mid range as a center doesn't do anything for me. It's not attractive. It's not qualities I'm looking for when I'm looking to draft. Jaxson Hayes is incredibly efficient from the inside. Give me the money in the paint. That's what I want. Someone who can hit his free throw. Someone who can be efficient within 2 feet of the basket. Because that's all that really matters as a center in the NBA for me.
Well, the one thing I will bring up is I don't know where you're getting the fact that he's not efficient at the rim. Daniel Gafford, he's shooting 80% from the rim. Around the rim. So Gafford is extremely efficient on the rim. I mean, he's on 195 shots, he's making 156. So Gafford can finish at the rim. I agree that the free throw percentage definitely is not there, and the mid range is not there. It completely falls off from 80%, down to 40% for everything else. And Hayes is a better finisher at the rim. He's shooting 84.75% from the rim, but even short mid range, 41.1%. Long mid range, he's only taken 5. He's shot in 20%. But even short mid range, he's got a decent game. So I think Hayes, again, being younger, can develop it.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm just saying,
he's already better than him, and he's younger than him.
I think Gafford. Gafford can grab boards better than Hayes.
Right.
He is a better rebounder.
Yeah. But he's a worse blocker.
I think that Gafford can put himself in better positioning. I think his positioning isn't great.
Hayes has a long way to go from a basketball IQ standpoint, but you can teach him. He is the I'm ready to be molded as a basketball player. That's what you get.
Well, again, I'm not arguing to
Mo Bamba raw.
I still have Hayes.
Mo Bamba is much more polished than Jaxson Hayes was.
I still have Hayes over Gafford. This is just the fact that I'm trying to argue for Gafford for first round. I still think he is. That's what I'm saying. And I think he's even at 30, he's still being underrated for me. But I just don't see a need for a center right now in the top 20. That's the thing is we're looking at these centers. Brandon Clark is up there because he's more of a 4, but he can block shots like crazy. Crazy athleticism, great IQ, great positioning. Looking at Goga has some of the best feet we've seen. He has great positioning, both offensively and defensively. So he's above Gafford. Hayes is above Gafford because of potential. They're pretty much the same player. Go with the younger player who is already finishing at the rim. You can add muscle to him. If he's adding muscle, what the hell can this kid be? I think he can be similar to Jared Allen. Jared Allen is worth it. And also with the Hawks too, should Jaxson Hayes be going 6? Probably not. He's probably more in the 10 range where you guys had him. But it's more of the Hawks need a center, and they have 2 picks. You can take him there.
Totally.
You're trying to fill out the need when it comes to that spot. So I think Hayes and Gafford, the big thing that separates them is the youth and the potential.
It's about a year and a half younger.
And also the quickness.
Yep.
Let's move now to the second question. Hunter Ottensmeyer? Hunter Ostenmeyer? Ottensmeyer. Hunter Ottensmeyer. That's the first time I've seen that last name. I think if Cam Reddish is there for the Hawks, they should take him. His offensive potential is so high, but it's consistency with him. Sometimes he looks like the most talented player in the draft, and other times he's not on the floor. But if he pans out, him and Trey can be so badass together. This is going to Dave to start.
I think that he does have some offensive potential. I don't think I've ever seen him look like the most talented player in the draft.
Yeah,
though.
I don't agree with that one.
That I have to disagree with you on, but
there's a lot of people that are saying sleeper potential with Cam Reddish.
There's also a dude named Zion Williamson.
No, I know.
I'm just saying for the best player in the draft. Zion has looked like the best player in the draft, and it's not even close. Stop trying to be like a hot take and be like, this Ja Morant kid, he's going to transfer better to the NBA than Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson's a fucking freak. Just accept it.
Yep. That's pretty well
But
said.
Cam Reddish, sleeper.
Look, just because you're bad at college basketball, but you were ranked really high in high school, doesn't mean you're just going to be better in the NBA. Period. That doesn't. It's not a straight equation. There's a lot of things that go into it, and I think that what we've seen out of him this year is that, given a smaller role, he's not been able to fit very well with his team. The opportunities he's been given and the role he's been given don't necessarily mesh fantastic with his skills. But he's played it, and you can't really argue the fact that he is an okay shooter from the outside. He's an okay slasher. He's decent athletically. Like there's nothing about that's bad. But the problem is he hasn't stood out at all. He's had opportunities when RJ had missed a game or Zion's extended leave on the team, and he has not been able to step up consistently. Like he is he's a B player. Like that's what it is. There's nothing about him that screams.
A B player or a B plus.
I didn't want to give him the plus.
Here's the thing that I want to say is like what Hall of Famer was good in high school, bad in college, and then great in the NBA.
I'm sure you could find some.
But does he have to be a Hall of Famer?
No, but I'm just saying the great of the greats. Like if you are great, you are going to dominate in every single level. So I'm just saying immediately there, he's not going to be great. He's not the best player in the draft. Yeah. So at some points, yes, he might have had some spots where it's like it's really impressive, but he's not the best. He's never been seen as the best player in the draft.
Right.
Some people have seen him as a sleeper. That's fine.
But that's just covering up for the fact that he's terrible in college basketball. It's like Nasir Little. Oh, he's going to be great in the NBA. Says what?
Oh, it's the system. It's Roy Williams' damn system. Freshmen never play well. Coby White, his teammates, playing phenomenally. I don't know what you're looking at. Yeah. But the thing that Hunter does hit in the head is the fact that the offense potential is so high and its consistency with him.
And that is
he's not consistent.
Potential. The word potential is the reason he's still in the top 10.
And that's what I tried to nail home through that mock draft when I was ranting about Cam Reddish. He is horrible when it comes to also no one has DM me about the Venmo thing. So go to the end of the podcast to see that.
Nice. With last week's podcast.
Yeah, last week's podcast. With the thing is like the potential is so high.
Yeah.
So you cannot pass on him because he can turn into somebody who is there. But it's ifs and it's what ifs. Right. And it's if this happens, then this will happen. Like there is no clear-cut way for him to become a star. It's all ifs. It's all being in the right position, the right time. It needs to be in the right system. There's no way he's just going to step in and dominate. And it might take a while for him to become great and hit his potential. So that's the thing with
do you think day one he's a starter on a team? I think it depends. And we're looking at lottery teams in the top 10.
Let's say if he goes to the Hawks.
If he does go to the Hawks, I don't know that he's better than Taurean Prince.
But does he have
to
be a starter right away?
No, but Dave's just asking the question if he is. It doesn't have to be.
Do you take a top 10 pick and know he's not going to start?
Here's the thing: if he goes to the Bulls, no.
Yeah,
he's not starting over Otto Porter. No. He's not starting over Zach LaVine, unless they move Zach to the 1.
But that might not be bad for him.
I'm not saying it's going to be bad for him. Dave's just asking the question: is he going to be a starter? And I think that's a fair question because if you're taking a guy in the top 5, you're typically a bad team.
You're hoping that this guy can make an immediate impact to your team, and obviously Marvin Bagley, odd year this year, but he's performed extremely well as the year's gone on. It took I don't know whether it took him time or it took the coaching staff time, but he's been popping off as the year's gone on.
Dominated college.
Yep.
Trae Young dominated college. Took him a while.
Yeah.
Like
both those
DeAndre
guys.
Ayton dominated college. Took him a while to get going. So
he was good early. He just defensively has been awful.
He's never been. Well, I mean, but there's even flashes like he's guarding LeBron. He's like stepping LeBron. He's guarding Giannis. And he's
wasn't there
Giannis.
like a 6 assist game or something? Pretty.
Yeah. Like
I mean, it's just,
Ayton's the weirdest player because he can be like one of the best defenders in the game, and they could be like just a turnstile, and then he could be a guy who hits like 90% of his shots on 20 attempts, or they're just like they don't even give him the ball. Like he's just it's weird.
It's perplexing.
But going back to Cam Reddish, the biggest thing that you say is I think if Cam Reddish is there. I'm sorry. It's but if he pans out.
Yeah. So if our last mock, we had him
5 and 5, I think.
Yeah.
Or 5, 4 and 5.
Yeah, pretty much. Because Ricky had him going 4 to the Bulls. You and I had him going 5 to the Hawks. So I agree. Like I think the Hawks have 2 shots in the first. Why not take that? I mean, it's playing with house money. To my point, there's no one with higher potential. Well. There's a very few guys with this potential as high as his, and especially him being a wing and playing against the top level competition, he can at least hold his own to some extent. So I think that's why, for me, it's a clear take, and the risk is worthy at 5 to do that. I don't know that I have him as high as you do necessarily, though.
Yeah. Let's move now to 3. Jaxson Waddleton. Great last names on this one. Coby White impressed the hell out of me in the Duke games. He's extremely quick and smooth. Kind of gives me a De'Aaron Fox, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander vibe. He could be a steal if someone picks him up early. I'm starting with this one. I disagree with the Shai Gilgeous thing. I understand the smoothness. Shai Gilgeous does have a very smooth aspect to his game. But a big thing with the reason why Shai is so smooth is because of his length.
Yeah.
He's not really a sudden burst athlete like
that first step John
De'Aaron
Wall and De'Aaron.
Yeah, De'Aaron's one of the fastest players in the league. I think Kobe's extremely fast. His acceleration is incredible.
Yeah.
He can go from slow start to top speed very quick. So I think that if you're going to compare him to a point guard that came out recently, I think that De'Aaron's a pretty good comp. He's not as big as De'Aaron, which is going to be tough when he's driving. So I don't know if he's going to be able to have the body that holds up. I think De'Aaron is a better defender than Coby White too. But if we're looking at it, coming into the league, Coby White is automatically a better shooter than De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has developed into a great shooter. He's got great percentages now. So I think that the De'Aaron Fox thing is a very good comp. If I hate comps, but it's a pretty good comp. I think if saying he could be a steal though is tricky, because if he falls to like 15, then yeah, he's a steal. Yeah. But I don't think he's going to be a steal, because I think he's really he's coming on people's radars. Yeah, and I think the fact that you see the speed, you see the shot, there are ways for him to make it in the NBA, and I don't really see the downside of him. He's a better defender than Trae Young was. He's a better offensive player he's a better shooter than De'Aaron was. I think that he has a very clear shot to the NBA. He's kind of small, but we've seen time and time again that kind of small really doesn't matter in this NBA anymore, because it's not as physical. So
he's 6'5", so he could build up the frame.
Is he 6'5"?
Yeah.
He looks 6'2".
Yeah,
he looks very small. It's the fro.
Where does the fro end at the measurement?
So where's his skull at?
As long as he doesn't Alfred Payton the hair, he will have a successful NBA career.
Hey, Alfred Payton's still dropping triple doubles. We still give him a love boy.
Hair.
I think that Kobe's an interesting one. I think he's still small.
He's 185. So yes, he is. Yeah, 6'5".
That's the biggest thing that I worry about, is just his actual size. But again, we've seen that really doesn't matter in the NBA. So
if he puts on a little bit of muscle, I agree. He's going to be a pretty good NBA player. I don't like either comps. I don't like comping players a year or two into their career either. I think if you're looking for player comps, you should look at guys who are established themselves, and this is what they are in the NBA too.
Yeah, but even then, it's the NBA's changed so much since those guys are finally established. You can barely even compare people to John Wall, because the NBA's changed so much. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing, is it's tough to do player comps, and the player comps are never going to be accurate because they're not the same size, they're not the same people, they don't have the same verticals.
John Wall was De'Aaron Fox. That was the comp last year, or
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
But even then, it's they're still different players. You even look at them now. If you watch De'Aaron Fox and John Wall, they're not the same player.
John Wall's on the couch. So.
But even then, when they're playing, John Wall's a little bit more.
I still think that comp's pretty good. I think that's one of the better ones they've had. But yeah.
Anyways, I think Coby White's a really good player, though.
I think he's going to be and take play out the window, just where he was drafted, the Shai Gilgeous of this year. Shai was 11th overall. Coby White could be somebody who, depending on how the draft plays out, and because we've got so many Keldon Johnson, who's also a guard, DeAndre Hunter, who's a guard for Kevin Porter Jr., all these guards in general, how many teams are going to go straight point guard. The Hornets, though, if they think they're going to lose Kemba Walker, could go with a Coby White if they don't like a Garland, or Garland's taken.
If I was doing a big board, I'd put him above Keldon Johnson. Mm-hmm. I think he's a very good player. It's just fit that usually comes with these mock drafts.
It's actually a good point. Where did he end up on my last big board?
Yeah. And the thing too is I think the thing too is
he was 16 for me.
Yeah, he should be way higher than that.
Well, that was we did it 4 weeks ago.
If Garland does not show up at the combine and look well, Coby White will become the second best point guard in this draft.
I think that's a fair statement.
He'll be probably top 7 pick then. Because I think if Memphis is looking for a point guard, they take him. But it's all dependent on what these teams are looking for. Mm-hmm. Because I think talent-wise, Coby White's up there. Coby White's 100% up there with Darius Garland. I think that Darius Garland has that next level elite offense. But I think that Coby White's more well-rounded than Darius Garland is. Yep. I'm going to read the next one and then turn back on the camera. We're going to Ricky on this one. Truth Teller 2011. Shout out 8 years ago. I like Kevin Porter, but Detroit already has 5 shooting guards, so where would he play? Also, you might as well have called the Celtics mock draft, because you guys spent 2/3 of the segment talking about what they will do. Give it at least a little time to talk about the next picks this time. We addressed that a little bit earlier, so let's just talk about the Kevin Porter to Detroit. He immediately will become the best shooting guard on that team in my mind, so it doesn't matter.
And that to me is the whole thing, where when I was mocking with the Pistons, there was kind of 2 things I was thinking of. Number one, I'm like, they don't have a small forward on this team. But at the same time, maybe one of those other guards could play at the 3 and you just have a smaller lineup out there. I was just looking at it based on my draft. Wasn't going to have him go Lewis King. Wasn't going to have him go Nasir Little, Grant Williams, Jonte Porter
Why
were the
not
next ones.
Lewis King or Nasir Little? Because I think I had Nasir Little going there. I think that's a great point for him because it gives a redemption arc for Stanley Johnson.
For me, it's one where I see Nasir more as more of a 4 than a 3.
Really?
And
What?
you've got Blake Griffin there.
Nasir's
also with Nasir Little,
6'6", isn't he?
if he's going to start at your 2 spot, do you want him stepping in, or 3 spot? Do you want him stepping in? No way. Not if I'm the Pistons. I'm not putting that much pressure on a Nasir Little, who I'm seeing struggle.
Maybe he'll
so far
thrive
this year.
as a starter.
I'm not buying it.
But
With me, I went
he's
with
gonna
the
give
potential.
you that NBA level defender. He's going to be better in the NBA than he was in college.
I like the offense I'm getting from Kevin Porter, because what's one thing we talked about in the 76er segment?
who are you gonna play at
It's
the 3
Blake,
then?
it's Drummond. Sign somebody.
Svi.
You could sign someone like
Put Svi.
You need somebody who can
kidding.
become a consistent third scorer, and Kevin Porter has the potential to become a consistent third scorer.
He's been anything but consistent, though. That's his college career is not consistent.
But if working with a Dwayne Casey, like, you can become consistent in the NBA, even if you weren't consistent in college. And the Pistons cannot deal with, sometimes it's Reggie Jackson, sometimes it's Luke Kennard that goes off.
I love Kennard.
The one thing that I will say with at least Kevin Porter, at least not being consistent, is he dealt with suspension, he dealt with injuries. So, I mean, there are reasons why he hasn't
His
been
coach
consistent.
hates him.
Yeah, I mean, there's reasons that he hasn't been consistent. Who do you like for the Pistons side? You had him taking Nasir Little.
I wasn't like I know I played into like all the fucking memes that we just joked about for Nasir Little being a terrible college player. But he could come into the NBA, and given a chance to play with the Pistons team, you're basically just being asked to play defense next to Blake Griffin. So I think he can come in and do that. Like, he's got a decent size. I know he's pretty
you're
strong.
Gonna kill the spacing on the team. Because I don't think Nasir Little is going to be a good three-point shooter in the league. I don't think Andre Drummond is a good three-point shooter, clearly. Reggie Jackson, if he is their starting point guards. And
he takes threes.
He takes them. He's not a great three-point shooter, though. I think that you look at Kevin Porter, and I think that the potential there is much higher than Nasir Little. Nasir Little can be a great defender. Great. But I think
Nasir Little, you start off with that defense as a platform, and you grow the shot over time, and you pray to God he's Kawhi,
You pray to God he's Kawhi and not Stanley Johnson, who you already drafted.
That's what I think is funny. That's why I made the joke about it.
Yeah, I think I like Kevin Porter, and I think he's more dangerous. I think he's more dangerous of a player. And if we're looking at who has a better game already, Kevin Porter's offensive game or Nasir Little's defensive game, I'll take Kevin Porter. I think Kevin Porter has those handles. I think he has great athleticism. And yes, while he's only averaging 9.5 points at USC right now, we look at when he was playing consistently and he wasn't suspended or anything like that. The first 5 games he was averaging 14 points in those games, and then when he's playing, I think it's like 25 minutes, he's averaging like 13 plus points. That's the thing is 25 or more minutes. 5, 11, 9, 10, 15, 17.
By the way, Reggie's shooting 37% on 5 attempts a game from 3, so he's a bit above league average.
Congrats, Reggie.
Bit above league average.
I don't care. It's all.
Also, I have Kevin Porter going way before you guys do, so I don't know that he'll even be there.
So if he is there, though, would you take Nasir Little or Kevin Porter?
I would take Kevin Porter every chance I get because he would be better as a player. But I think for you guys who have him both on the board, I think I would look at Nasir Little as a serious fit for that team. But it's your call.
All right.
Your draft.
Also, I apologize to Reggie Jackson. Finally. I'm sorry.
And if you clip it from post-injury, he's even better.
Yeah, I had my 30.8% from last year stuck in my mind.
It's fair.
Whatever.
It's fair.
Let's go to the 5th question. DeAndre Johnson. I threw up in my mouth a little when Sean said Jackson Hayes is better than Bol Bol. Wow. I'm sick of it. You know what?
There are so many Bol Bol comments.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
love it. I love it.
You know what? I get it. He's 7'2" with a football yard.
Even bigger.
He's a football field length wingspan. Like, congratulations. The dude is going to break down. You are not going to see Bol Bol in the league in 5 years. It's unfortunate. Okay, I'll bet my goddamn house. I've done my car. I've done my face. I've done a Knicks jersey. I don't care. This kid is not going to be healthy. If he plays over 70 games, I will drop dead. Like, that is, I'll bet my life on that. This guy is not going to be healthy. What?
Could we get something doable on the podcast? We got monetized and Sean. You can't drop dead for us. We can't post that.
There's another one from Dylan Daughtry that I didn't even include that was just curious on why Sean has Bol Bol at 15 to the Heat. when they drafted Bam in 2017 and Whiteside is most likely going to opt out of his option.
So
like there are so many, like, people love Bol Bol.
Opt into his option.
Yeah, opt into his option.
You said opt out. Well, here's the thing: is Bol Bol's going to head into the league injured. He's going to probably play 22 minutes at the start of his career. So here's the thing: is that Bam is a 5 and Bam is a rim runner. So Bol Bol's most likely going to play the 4. Yep. So there you go. Those two can play next to each other. They're fine.
People are assuming he's going to be a 5, and I'm like, he looks like a great spacing 4.
He's weak as shit.
Yeah,
like he's not going to be able to play. If you put Joel Embiid up against Bol Bol would disintegrate.
Here's another one. LeJohn says, who in their right mind would pick Jaxson Hayes over Ball?
I would.
People forget he was a top 3 pick before he got hurt. He was most upside in the draft outside of Zion.
And I've said this, that he is he has a high potential. But the thing you have to look at when you're looking at potential is what is his floor? And his floor is, and I said this before he got injured, is that he is going to get hurt. He is frail. He is brittle. He is an old man. He is weak. He's weak, very, very weak. And when you're going up in the low post against Nikola Jokic, when you're going up against the low post against Zion Williamson, when you're going up against the low post against
in this argument, like
he's
a big, intimidating guy.
Jokic bangs bodies in the low post. What are you talking about?
Big honey. I mean, come on.
Big honey.
Jokic bangs people down there. Jokic hits him hard on the low post. What are you talking about? Joel Embiid. If you're going up against,
they're not even in the same class.
Jokic is great on the post. What are you talking about?
Embiid he plays so much more physical in the post.
Jokic is still physical. That's okay. Let's say
I'm sorry.
If you're going up against Rolo in the post, he'll still beat up Bol Bol.
Yeah.
Bol Bol is weak. Bol Bol is literally a stick out there.
Yeah.
And if you're going to then put him on the perimeter, he's fine guarding 4s out on the perimeter.
Yeah.
That's why he's going to be playing the 4. But even then, if you get a more physical 4, they're going to put their body into him, and they're going to probably knock him over.
Yep.
And his feet will be moving, so it won't be a foul, and they'll dunk it on top of him. Like, he's going to get pushed around in the league, and that's going to then lead to injuries. So he might be elite on the offensive floor, but on the defensive floor, he's going to literally put his career in danger. He's probably better off just letting the team play 5-on-4 on defense and then stand at half court.
Wow.
I do not think that he's going to last in the NBA.
Inferno takes from Sean.
I don't think he's going to last in the NBA because of his body. And if anyone could prove me wrong that a guy who has, toothpicks as sticks for legs, then
time travelers, we need to hear from you.
Yeah.
Let me go.
Because that's the only way they're going to prove
Let me know
wrong.
if there's a guy in the league right now that has toothpicks for legs and is made there. And Mo Bamba is literally there's already articles being drafted that he's a bust. Like, come on. And Mo Bamba is at least a little bit bigger than Bol Bol.
No offense to Vapeberg, but he went to the Magic. He was already a bust.
Jesus Christ. Come on, dude. Don't do that. Don't do our friends like that.
Yeah.
Hey, if people can throw shade on me for being a Bulls fan, I can throw shade on people for being any fan, except for a Warriors fan.
The thing with Bamba, too,
he got hurt.
How big is Bamba? He did get hurt, but how big is he?
I think he's 7'1" or 7 flat.
Big. How big is he?
Oh, weight?
221. So he is smaller than Bol Bol.
Yeah.
Bol Bol apparently is 236, but I wouldn't see that. He carries that a ton in his chest.
Yeah, it's his core.
Yeah, like he's not a guy like so. Maybe he doesn't have the legs underneath him. Like Bamba is at least dispersed.
It's just funny.
I don't know.
It's just funny at this point.
Like there's a ton of muscle on Mo Bamba. There's not muscle on Bol Bol.
And Bol Bol doesn't have a song yet.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a song. You should get on that check, Wes.
Yeah.
Also, you spelled my name wrong, DeAndre. S-E-A-N. Let's now go to 6. DeAndre Page. I love Keldon Johnson pick. Crying, laughing emoji. LeBron James gets a 3-point shooter. Lakers currently in the middle of back-to-back seasons of bottom three NBA for 3-point shooting. Dave, this one's going to you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was going for. He is a instant fit to the NBA. He's someone who has the skills, hardworking defender, tons of effort on that end, but also can come back, nail down hard shots from the outside. And he plays in a system where ball movement is normal. It's not obviously at that next level NBA, LeBron James passing, but he can be a catch and shoot player that they are looking for and that they were hoping that they had in someone like Josh Hart, who was never really a great 3-point shooter in college. I think the early part of his career was kind of interesting that he was able to knock down at that rate. But look, I think he's an instant guy who brings something this team desperately needs.
This is a guard from Eastern Washington who has a bigger forearm than Bol Bol. Okay?
Okay.
Do you see that? This kid from Eastern Washington.
He's aerodynamic.
Who's probably like a sixth man on his high school team.
I'd
has
still
a
take
bigger
Bol Bol.
forearm than the guy who you're saying is your top 3 pick.
Thank God we don't draft based on forearm size,
Yeah.
right?
Okay,
God.
but let's take in body proportion for guys
Sean,
who are
we're
gonna
past
be,
it.
Who are,
We're past
I'm just saying, like, come on.
I was about to
There's
give
clear
my-
reasons and negatives to
So
him.
the Lakers.
Yeah.
The thing though that is interesting about this is changing since our last mock.
Yep.
I am convinced they probably won't even have that pick.
Rick, so you have the number
Like-
1 overall pick.
Well, no, not just that. Like, no matter what pick I think they get, they're going to trade it for somebody. Because the thing is with LeBron, like, yes, Keldon Johnson would help them, but LeBron doesn't not work well with rookies, but rookies aren't on the same timeline as LeBron James. Where LeBron James wants those veterans, he wants those guys that are going to come in and have already proven themselves, to where I'm convinced that the Lakers, if they do anything with the pick, they're just going to move it, and that's not even going to be a Laker pick because they're going to get a veteran of some kind, even if it's not AD.
Potentially, they could go the trade route. I could see that. I don't know. Sean?
For Keldon Johnson?
Yeah, are you done with your Bol Bol rant?
No, I'm still looking at it.
He's obsessed.
He's hot and bothered.
obsessed.
Okay, but like again, like someone show me an NBA
This is
player.
why I put that comment on here when I saw it. Literally came in today as we were recording the podcast.
Show me an NBA. Show me an NBA player with at least this the small legs and arms that Bol Bol has. Like which player is out there? Okay, and his dad, who was a 2-time block champion.
I think he was like 45 when he started.
He was 23.
No, he's 45.
At most. Manute Bol averaged 2.6 points per game.
The
throughout his
old
career.
fun maker.
Right. But
the
that was
most he did was
different
4.9. But he was averaging 5 blocks a game.
Yeah.
So like, but even then, like he averaged 18.7 points per game, and then he played 60, then 12. He played 80, then 82, then 77, then 80, then 75, then 82, then 71, then
That's pretty
58,
great.
then 14, then 8, then 2, then 4, then 5. By 31, he was injured. But here's the thing: he was only starting.
If you get to play till 31, it's pretty good.
But he only started 60, 12, 4, 4, 26,
Different
2,
NBA.
23, and then he was
Bol
only
Bol-
averaging.
Bol Bol's offense demands he gets minutes on the court, and that's the difference. Like the kid is shooting at an incredible rate in college, and you can't deny it. Like we said, even if you drop his percentages by 10% each, he's still an above league average shooter.
When I was watching Oregon and Wisconsin yesterday,
bump over his positional.
I thought to myself, man, I wish Bol Bol was in this game.
That would have been amazing.
Like having that game was.
I was
fun
hyped because
in
Oregon
general.
was supposed to be the team that was at the top of the nation this year with him and Lewis King out there.
And Pritchard. Don't forget about Pritchard.
Big shot.
He's balling out so far in the
did actually
tournament.
play pretty good.
I don't trust this.
Coming off those
I'm
ball
sorry.
screens,
I just
man.
don't trust it.
You just zoom.
Zip, zap, zoop.
This kid's something else.
All right.
I just don't trust it. I'm sorry. Like who did Bol Bol even go up against? Like who was he playing in those 9 games?
No one who was
like,
7'3".
Ooh, sorry. He put up 23 points against Eastern
Sorry,
Washington.
he didn't get to play against Taco
21
Fall.
against
But think about
Green
how big
Bay.
the forearms were,
32
Sean.
against Texas Southern.
He did that
20
against guys with
against San
forearms the
Diego.
size of his thighs.
He played 3 legit teams: Iowa, Green Bay, and Syracuse. Okay, and like
You gonna pout about
know
it?
it's
Like,
totally
no,
gonna
who's
I'm just
John
saying.
Morant played.
You know what's totally going to
Bunch of
happen now?
bums in a terrible conference.
You know what's totally going to happen
Doesn't
now?
stop him.
In the
I'm
summer
being
league,
amazing.
I'm saying he never went up against a pro, like a pro center.
Yeah,
That's my point.
John Morant's gone up against like one professional point guard in his entire college
Okay, then why
career this year.
I'm not, but I'm also
But
saying
if you're trying to take away from him for not having
the
that
biggest thing
opportunity,
that I'm saying
John
is
Morant also
Bol
hasn't
Bol's
really done
Bol
that.
Bol's size. John Morant isn't undersized.
No,
John
but
Morant
you're
doesn't
talking
have
level of
injury
competition.
history.
No, you put level of competition.
No,
in
but you're
box,
saying
and
that
I'm bringing
he's
it in.
shooting 15. You're saying he's shooting
Bringing that back
100%
through
from
the
3 or
door.
whatever, 52% from 3-point
Basically,
percentage.
100%.
That's fine, but like, again, like, what is he going up to where he's actually having a challenge for his size and his position? That's what I'm saying. And he's going up against position. Whatever. We're getting off this. Let's go to the next one. 7. This one's Chris Curtis. I think another aspect that will make Zion's future even brighter is his strength will become more disproportionately larger because the league is becoming skinnier and smaller ball. I don't think you could small ball easily against Zion because he can switch on wings, but will outmuscle you on offense. He'll definitely outmuscle Bol Bol. But let's go to Ricky on this one. What do you think about Zion's and his strength?
I just think I've said it before. I will say it again. I said it to Dave the other day. When I said on the podcast that when LeBron is bye, I hope you enjoy retirement. Zion will become the next best player in the league. Like, that is what I see for Zion Williamson, because yes, it's like, oh, he can't shoot, but he does everything else so well, and he makes us drop our jaw with everything that he does, that I think the ceiling is the roof for him. He's going to go right through that ceiling up into the sky all the way to the moon, and he might not even stop there. He might go all the way to Pluto, which is a planet still.
I don't think he's going to be quite that good.
But
that might be a little bit much.
To me, it's like what Sean said last week, or what it might have been last week, might have been the last mailbag, of you cannot put a cap on Zion.
Yeah.
Because you put a cap on him and he proves you wrong. And then you go, oh, wait, no, this is the cap. And he goes, double not so fast, my friend. And it's not the cap. And then you go, all right, this is it. Like, he just keeps breaking it. So it's like,
until you make the cap a 40% three-point shooter.
It's just... We'll see in the NBA. Let's see if he develops a shot.
Yep.
But I just, with me, think that Zion is going to be so special that there's a reason why at number 1, we even had the discussion with John today. Do you take Ja even over a Zion if you're like a Bulls or a Suns? And I still wouldn't. No matter what team you are, you go Zion number 1.
Yeah, I think him becoming a matchup nightmare as the NBA continues to get smaller is an interesting thought, because he is. Like, when I watch him play, you know, you can try to put 4s on him. He's quicker than all of them. Literally all of them. You put a 3 on him, he outmuscles every single one. He can back them down on the post. Like, he just is dynamic. His size, speed combination has not been seen before.
And especially how quickly he can get out to defend 3-point shots like that. I know it's a one thing, but that one 3-point shot that he leaped and was like, bam, it's into the stands. Yeah. Get that out of here.
So... I agree. I think he's going to continue to get more ridiculous as time goes on, and people won't have an answer for him matchup-wise. There's just not that many guys who have that combination.
Could he do that to a James Harden step back? Could you imagine James Harden does the double step back, and Zion just jumps up and swats it?
Harden's still going to the line. Getting them free throws.
Well, that's the thing is his strength might be a weakness, because he might be pushing guys around too much, actually, and then they might be a foul.
That's actually a good question, though, because I have seen him have a lot of contact on guys, and I wonder if, you know, active shooting stuff in the NBA is a little bit more ticky-tacky.
Yeah, especially guys who are, you know, pros at drawing contact.
Yeah.
Like, is that going to be something that, you know...
I think that could be an area where he'll have to have a learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think... it doesn't matter whether his strength is going to be disproportionately larger, his size is going to be proportionally larger, his speed is going to be disproportionately larger, his vertical is going to be disproportionately larger.
You see him race out a point guard for a loose ball and then cross over and then lay it up. Like,
there was so many. Like, you could just watch any game and just be like, "That's an NBA move. That's an NBA move. That's an NBA move. That's an NBA move."
Did this? Yeah.
Remember when we were watching the Florida State game, and then we was behind us, and I was like looking, and I was like, "Zion just did this. Zion just did this. Oh my God, Zion just did this. Oh, this one was better. He did the same thing, but it was even better. It was more athletic. He was fading away and threw it up with one hand, and it just went straight in.
I remember that, yeah.
Like, the kid's incredible.
Yep.
It's Zion Williamson. He's the number 1 pick in the league in the draft. 8, this one's Ben Simmons. We do have famous people watching us.
Legit, at Ben Simmons.
Either Ben Simmons, the 76er, or Ben Simmons, Bill Simmons' kid. The disrespect for Romeo Langford is unreal. I don't know what this is in reference to. I don't know what we said about him that was like negative. I guess I had him lower than before. I had him going in this one to 12 to the Magic. Ricky, you had him all the way up at 6, and then Dave, you had him at 13. But even like throughout this, I mean, I had him at 10 to the Magic. Ricky, the one before you had him 10 at the Magic too, and then Dave, you had him at 8 to the Pelicans. I think it's really just fit with him. It's just like he's a really talented player. I just think that you need to have either a point guard around him that's going to be able to get him the ball, or a big that's going to be able to set screens for him, and he's going to be able to get loose. I think that's really the biggest thing that he needs. He needs to be in a very certain spot to hit, but he's a very talented player. I mean, he was my number 1 player going into this draft. Clearly, that's changed because Zion Williamson. I didn't think he should be this damn good.
Nobody.
But I think that. Romeo's a very talented player, and having him 12th isn't a disrespect. I think it's just like, when you're looking at pretty much after Cam Reddish, so Jaxson Hayes, Sekou, DeAndre, Darius, Coby, Keldon, Romeo, I think those guys are just so close that really it's just fit for team, and that's all I was trying to mock. I could see him going 7 to the Grizzlies. I could see him going that high. I could see him going to the Hawks if they don't take Cam Reddish. Like
we just have a glut of really good guards this year, and I think that's the thing. He has a clear limitation in his shot right now, where he's just not a consistent 3-point shooter, and because of that, teams are afraid. They think that his offensive skill set's limited to 2 levels. And yeah, he's a very good mid-range shooter, but where does that get you in today's NBA? Nowhere. Literally nowhere. So, yeah, there's definitely hope there. He's got a good shot, so you hope that you can continue to build that up, and, as he puts on muscle, he'll be able to add the shot to his game without adjusting too much. But I think it comes down to, like Sean said, it's fit, and who's the guy you believe in? Like, I look at, like you said, Coby White's right there, two-way guard. I absolutely love a lot about his game. Keldon Johnson, two-way guard. Kevin Porter Jr. is the guy who's an ultimate wild card. Like that's the thing is if you have one of those guys who you like, suddenly he drops 3 picks. Like that's it. It's that close.
Yeah, I mean it's nothing about Romeo Langford. It's just really, again, all fit.
Yeah, for me it's the 3-point shot. Like, I mean, I know he only was averaging about 4 a game, but he's hitting one of those 4. So you're hitting just over 25%. Like that is not. If you're a guard in this league, hell, if you're a wing. Or a point guard in this league.
If you're not a center.
You have to, the 4s are even having to hit 3s now to where, like, it's just, if he can up that and become a better shooter from the outside, it's like when I watch the tournament even, like, there'll be guys that'll take long 2s, and it's now this day in the NBA, there's no shot worse than a long 2.
I think he's going to be
take a step back and shoot a 3.
He's going to be a fine 3-point shooter in the league. It might take him a while. Like, I mean, De'Aaron Fox came in and wasn't a good 3-point shooter and developed a shot. I mean, you look at him, he's a decent free throw shooter. I think just the biggest thing is just he's not getting off clean shots in Indiana. He wasn't able to get spacing there, and I think that was a big thing. But even, he did have shots where he was like, 2 of 4 from 3, 3 of 7 from 3, 3 of 7 from 3, 3 of 6 from 3, 2 of 3 from 3, 2 of 5 from 3. Like, he had outputs where he was decent from 3. I think the biggest thing is just him getting open looks. He can become a decent 3-point shooter in the league. It's just, I think the biggest questions I have for him is, can he be consistent in the NBA? He can have spurts, but is he going to be like a J.R. Smith and just have, outputs and every now and then he's going to be putting up 20 points a night? I mean, he'll be cold some nights. Like, what is his limitation? Is he going to be able to be a great scorer at the next level? That's the question I have for him, is the consistency where, he's going to need to be looked at as a guy who can be a number 1, number 2 scorer because of his play type. He's not going to be a spot-up shooter.
If he's not scoring for you, he doesn't provide a ton of value. Yeah. He has the tools to be a decent defensive player, but we've not seen that on a consistent level.
Where Keldon Johnson, he's at least going to be a spot-up shooter for you, and you have that guy, and he's going to be probably near elite in that category. Now, he might not be good in every other category for Romeo Langford, but if you're the Lakers, you're going to need a spot-up shooter. That's why he's going to be going above, Keldon Johnson, because of the fit. Let's go to now 9, Andre Ruffalo. I think he was in the last one. Where's Bruno Fernando? I had him on my mock going to 10 at LA. How is he out of the top 20? Ricky,
because his name is Bruno Fernandez.
Yeah. Bruno Fernando. He's not in my first round. I've got Bruno Fernandez in my first round.
This one's going to you first. I didn't have him at all in my top. My top 30, you had him at 29, and Dave, I
didn't have him.
I took a hard pass.
There's a reason why I put my name down for, because I was the guy that had him in the first round. For me, the reason why I don't see him being a top 20 pick is because of, first off, he's a center, and 2, where are teams going to, like, for example, the Spurs. If he's going to go top 20, it's because the Spurs, with their 20th pick, we're going to go with a center and kind of look for a wing later. I don't see them doing that. I see them looking for a wing player first, then later on going with their center pick just at the tail end of the first round. And besides that, like, the Celtics could be a team that goes with a center also. But I had them go with Jonte. Now, could that change the next mock draft? Yeah. But, like, there's not a ton of teams that I see going after a center in the top 20. And the ones that do have multiple picks and have one between 21 to 30 and can just get their center there.
Here's the thing is, if I'm ranking centers, I think he's probably in I think, like, obviously, if I had to rank him, Jackson's probably my number 1. Bol Bol's probably 2.
And even we think Bol Bol's going to be a 4 in the NBA probably anyway, but yeah.
What's that? Oh, yeah, Bol Bol? Yeah. If we're taking, just bigger guys.
Sure.
Like if we're talking guys, near 6'10" or higher.
Sure.
Bigger. I'll take Jaxson, Bol Bol, Goga. Then I'll probably put Gafford there, and then comes in Bruno. But the thing that I could, even Jonte's in there too. But I think that the one key one's going to be Jonte, because if Jonte falls, let's say he has another bad combine, maybe his medicals don't come back, then that's where Bruno comes in.
Yeah.
It's just that it's really kind of just a pecking order and which ones you like. I don't think there's anything wrong with Bruno.
He's an elite rebounder.
Bruno, yeah. I think that he's got a lot of great, he's really aggressive, which is something I like. And even during the tournament, he really impressed me. I think the biggest thing that just sets him back is just is he what is he going to be able to turn it up to become a star? Because he's not even a star in college basketball. He's averaging 13 points and 7.6 boards. So as a second-year player, you want to see more production of that. Where Gafford has that production, and I think people always look at how is he going to fit in the NBA? But a big thing too is production. We keep talking about this. You need to be able to dominate.
Did you say
7? I could be wrong.
He's 13 and 10.
Okay, 13.
10 and a half.
Yeah.
Don't cut him short.
My bad. But yeah, no, I just feel
definitely not short. He's taller than I am.
I could just feel that I don't feel like he's always a dominant presence on the floor. And consistency is something that he does struggle with. So that'd be the one thing that I would say with Bruno Fernando.
I mean, I like what he brings to the table. He's a guy that can grab boards. He plays defense well. He's got a really long wingspan, which will help him at the 5. To me, one of the only negatives is he might turn over the ball a little bit too much.
Yeah, he's not great defensively either.
But he's not terrible defensively. And no one if he was amazing defensively, he would be higher than where we have him. But if I do the same thing that you did, I would have Bol Bol as my first center, Jaxson Hayes as my second one. Then I would have Bruno Fernandez and then Goga. Only because Jonte Porter, we haven't seen what he's going to be like yet, so we got to see that. And number 2, I'm still not sold on Jonte being a center.
Right, he's a 4-5.
He might be a 4 when he's on an NBA team.
But I could see him playing small ball 5.
Yeah, small ball 5, but mainly a 4 on a team, and that's where Bruno, where we had him this time, isn't where he's locked into. He could rise.
Right.
It's just what team, after we get out of the lottery, is going to take a dive on an early center rather than take one late in the first round.
Right. The value of the centers definitely changed over the years, but when you look at those late teams, it's the Thunder probably don't need a center.
Yep.
And Noel's going to get a payday probably and going to go somewhere else, so they do need a backup center, but I don't know if I would take a backup center right there. I'd take someone with Jonte who has that tweener ability.
Yep.
Celtics could use a center. Goga's there above him for all of us on our boards. Blazers definitely don't need a center. Cavs don't really need a center. Pacers don't need a center. Sixers could use a backup center, but I think
what has Joe been doing for you lately?
I said backup. Nets don't really need one. Warriors are the team that kind of stands out to me. If he goes, I think the Warriors pick could be the one where he could go off in the first round, because giving them an elite rebounder and keeping those second possession chances alive, or second possession attempts alive, would be pretty big for them. So I could see him slipping back into the first round. I don't have him there on my mock right now, but I don't know that the value of a center is that high in today's NBA, especially one who can't stretch the floor out. That would make him truly unique, and then of course he'd be higher on the boards. All
right, here's this one, and then we have one more. I'll just answer this one, then we'll go into the last one. The last one's about second round guys. So if you want to pick those out for when I come to you guys, let's do that. But this one's from Matt Gillis, at guy sitting on the left. That is me. The names are in the description if you're ever trying to find the names. It's also at the start of the video. It's not about the shots. It's about the shots he's getting in the system that he's in. I believe he's talking about Cam Reddish. When you have 2 subpar shooters who are future stars on a team, and they're going to be the focal point, and the offense is going to be geared towards them because they're the better prospects, those shots he's getting aren't going to be better if they aren't in the spots he's best at. Not saying that he's a great prospect right now, but the argument is a little flawed. I've brought this part up, is the fact that Coach K is trying to win basketball games. That's what he's doing right now. He's not trying to showcase Cam Reddish as a star or anything like that. I understand that, and that's why he's still 5th. For a guy who has this bad of production in college, still being a top 5 pick is a saving grace. So if you're looking at this, again, Cam Reddish has potential, and that's all I'm saying. And yes, maybe he's not put into the best spots, but you want to see more from him. And I think that's the biggest thing is, even if that's not your game, if your game is not being a spot-up shooter, you still need to be able to show what you're doing. And it's not like he's getting bad shot attempts. Like, he's still getting open threes, and he's still not like an efficient shooter. And yes, maybe he's not great from the right elbow shooting threes, but and he hit a huge shot against Florida State. That was a game winner on the right elbow. He stepped up in a big moment and he hit it. That's huge. But I think the biggest thing that I just look at that annoys me with Cam Reddish is, like, we've never seen games where he's been able to just be himself.
Right.
And even when you feel like you have that shot, like when Zion was out, he was still not able to be that guy that he should be. So I think the biggest thing that I have with Cam Reddish is the fact that although he is not in the best system, and that is a fair point to bring up, and it's fair to say my argument's flawed, I think the biggest thing you need to look at, though, is great players and great talents rise and they try to make themselves fit. And so far, Cam Reddish has not done that. Maybe it's a little bit too much for me to ask of a 19, 18-year-old, but I'm going to. Because, I mean, if you're going to be a top 5 pick, you need to be able to show and prove why you should be a top 5 pick. Because then what if he comes into the Atlanta Hawks and isn't be able to be a spot-up shooter? Well, guess what? He's not going to be carrying the ball up the court. It's going to be Trae Young. So he's going to need to be able to turn into a spot-up shooter. Trae Young's going to bring up the ball pretty much about 80% of the time when, you know, him and Cam Reddish are on the floor. So that's the biggest thing that I look at with Cam Reddish is you're going to be able to need to adapt in college and in the NBA, because in the NBA, when you're getting paid money to do a thing, you need to be able to produce. And if you're not going to be producing in college, you're going to need to be producing in the NBA, and the NBA is going to be tougher and harder for you to do so there. So I don't know. I just worry about his production. He also said, edit, you literally just got done about talking production with Cam, and Hayes literally hasn't shot a 3 and can't even average a double-double. Wow. Hayes is not even a year younger than Cam either, and Hayes is their starting center too. We can clearly get a center that could be just as good, if not late better. Hayes isn't the lock yet. Y'all keep pushing. The question with that is, like, the production is he's still producing better. He's shooting 72% from the fucking floor. Cam's
incredible.
shooting like 2% from the floor. He's ass as hell. He was shooting to start the game, he was like 2 of 8 against North Dakota State University, the fierce Bisons, from North Dakota. So, like, yes, Cam isn't producing well, and the thing with Hayes is, like, yes, he's a year younger, but he also plays a completely different position. He's not dependent on Trae Young getting the ball and shooting from the outside. The biggest thing that he needs to do is play defense, be able to switch. When Trae Young is being asked defensively, he needs to be able to come up and stop that. And he has shown that he has the quickness and the length and the ability to close out on shooters and block shots. So Jaxson Hayes is not being looked on to be a second or third scorer for the Atlanta Hawks. He's going to be looked as a guy who can play defense next to John Collins, and he can do that. Cam Reddish needs to be able to step in and be the second guy they go to when Trae Young's not on. If he can't do that, he's going to be a bust. And yes, Jaxson Hayes was a little bit of a reach there, but I still think that he's going to be taken in the top 12. Cam Reddish is still a good player. He's taken above Jaxson Hayes for a reason. I put him at 5 and not 6 for a reason. But the thing that is that Cam Reddish has not produced. Jaxson Hayes, yes, he's only grabbing 5 boards in 23 minutes, but if you extrapolate that, it looks a little bit better because he's, per 40, it's about like 8. And he still has good rebounding rates. So if you got to look at the metrics and the advanced metrics, it shows that he's still a good rebounder, and it shows that he's a great shot blocker. So if you're drafting him for your defense to play next to John Collins, he's worth that pick.
John
and if
Collins
he pans
put
out
up 20 and 10. You don't have to worry about the scoring end with John Collins and Trae Young on your team.
And if Jaxson Hayes pans out as a good defender and he's a starter on your team, that's all that matters, because you're not going to be taking anybody else. You need to fill a position at that point because you have a point guard already who's a star. You have the power forward who's a great star already in John Collins. If Cam Reddish pans out to be a good 3 or 2, then you're fine. All you need is someone to be a 4th or a 5th option offensively and a good defender. And that's what Jaxson Hayes is at his best. So, yes, Jaxson Hayes isn't putting up 20 and 20 in college, but he is a guy with great potential, just like Cam Reddish. But one thing he is doing is he is producing around the rim, which is something you want from a center, and he is blocking shots, which is something you want from a center. What you want from a wing is the ability to shoot from 3, which Cam Reddish can't do.
You're a little hot today, Sean.
Let's go to the 11th one. Mar Myers. Nice job. You guys talk about possible second-round picks that can help a team out, such as Robert Franks from Washington State or Eric Paschal from Villanova. Dave, start us off.
So I'm just going to give a quick plug to a previous Patreon segment we did about sleepers, which does cover a handful of players from the second round. I'm just going to toss out a flurry of them because, let's be honest, it's second rounders. They're guys who you should know their names because they've been in college for a bit in my group. So I would look at Ty Jerome, Dedrick Lawson, Admiral Schofield, and obviously you already said Paschal. So, like, those are the 4 guys, and even Matthias Seibel, who I think is now kind of bullying his way up the boards
I
because
think
people are watching
I
him
still
on bigger
think
screen.
he's going to be an early second.
I think he's first. I'm on the first round train for him because he was everywhere on defense. Everywhere on defense in the tournament. And that's what he's done all year. He's breaking records that were set by some of the greats in the NBA who had fantastic college careers. So defensive monster there. But Ty Jerome, professional backup point guard. Like this guy can do it. He's a plug and play player. Super smart player. Love him. DJ Clawson's a guy who transferred from Memphis to Kansas. Was able to produce at the same level, if not better. Added a 3-point shot. Not many attempts, but he has shown that he's a good free throw shooter. He's got a good shot. And I think that 3-point shot will continue on. Probably not 37% that he's at right now, but at the next level, probably will be respectable about 34, 35.
Yeah,
so.
you know, with me, I'll do the same thing with Dave. I'll give it like kind of a little bit of a flurry. Two that, well, one that could be a first rounder. I know that John, patron we had on today, is liking this guy, but Dietrich Lawson could be a early
Literally
second.
just talked about him, yep.
Could even come in at the first, but like Marcus Howard's a guy like in the second round. CJ Massenberg from Buffalo is a guy that I like.
Massenberg.
The most intriguing one to me. I'll throw out Cassius Winston because you didn't throw out Cassius.
Yeah, I always do.
I think Cassius is going to be a second round prospect. An interesting one because he's only played 2 years at Houston and he's a senior. Corey Davis Jr. from the Houston Cougars is a guy who's averaging 16 points from the field or 16 points per game for them. Shoots 42% from three last year, 38 from three this year. He shoots 8 per game. There could be a team in the second round that goes, hey, you know what? We can take him. And if he can shoot threes at a good clip for us and score some points and maybe run a second unit for us, could be a steal for a team in the second round from a non-Power 5 school. But he's mainly a scorer for the Houston Cougars.
The guys that I'm looking at, like, you know, if we're looking at other
He doesn't
people,
turn the ball over.
yeah, if we're looking at guys like, I think the biggest thing is that we've tried to do is at least with like those late picks is just put guys that we like. In the first round, like in the second round, into the first round, just so we can talk about them.
Yep.
So a lot of the guys I've already mentioned, like Matthias Thybulle is most likely going to be a second round pick, but I love him, and if you take him in the first round, I don't think you're wrong. Another guy are the two Tennessee
Naz Reid could.
Yeah, one of them is the Tennessee guys. I love Grant Williams. Naz Reid could be a second rounder, but if Naz Reid comes out and is the second rounder, take him at 31 because the guy's a goddamn offensive monster. But I think that, you know, Gafford's one too, clearly that we've mentioned because he might fall the second round. People might overlook Goga. Goga might be a second rounder as well. One guy that I think people are underlooking, Jalen Noel from Washington. Maybe it's because I'm watching a ton of Thybulle highlights.
Right now, yeah.
But the thing that I look at with him is, like, whenever you watch Thybulle highlights, it's like, all right, Thybulle brings the defense. Evan Noel is an offensive machine. This guy has crazy great handles. He's averaging 16.3, 5.3 boards, and 3.2 assists. He's shooting 50% from the field, 44.7% from three, 77.9% from the line. He's a very athletic guard. 6'4", he's got good size. I think he's probably more of a 2 in the NBA, but even then at 6'4", that's not crazy. CJ McCollum's kind of small like that.
Fine.
But I really like him. He's a sophomore out of Washington. He might stay later, but I think he's a guy that can really pop off. He might be a guy next year that if he does stay around college, he averages like 20 points a game. And he might be one of those juniors that takes a rise up. I mean, his offensive handles, his offensive scoring is absolutely NBA level. Similar to Marcus Howard. Howard can score, put up a ton of points. I do like Iggy Brazdeikis. He's a guy that's made your guys' first rounds as well. Guy that's definitely interesting to me. Cam Johnson, a guy that I had in my first round. I think he's a first rounder. He might fall the second round as well. Shamori Pons would be an interesting guard. I think he's more bench scoring though. I think people want to love him just because he's a smaller guard that puts up a ton of points.
Yeah.
But we've seen this before with guys like who's the kid from Oakland, Kay Felder.
Oh yeah.
People love Kay Felder. People loved Isaiah Whitehead from Seton Hall. I think he's kind of more in those regions. Guys that I think are too high on, I don't like Taylor Horton-Tucker. He's a guy that got played off the floor against Ohio State. He's not good defensively. He's not good offensively. I just don't think that he's an NBA guy yet. I think he's a guy who needs to come back for a sophomore year and slim down and try to develop a game outside of that.
We mentioned that.
Yeah. We can talk about that.
And I think Killian Tilly is a guy that I had in my mock drafts last year. Interesting 4-5.
Coming off an injury, though.
Yeah, can shoot
A lot of people
deep.
like mocking him to the Hawks in the second round.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. I think he's a guy that definitely interesting for 4.5. I don't really know if he's going to make it. He might be a little bit too soft inside, but definitely a guy to watch out for. And then if I had to throw out one more, the Martin twins suck ass. If you have them, they're bad. They're probably going to be second-round picks in my draft.
Isaiah Roby?
Are you only saying they're bad because they played one bad game in the tournament?
No, they're ass. They're literally bad prospects. They're slow. They take horrible shot selections.
I don't think they're
guys
bad.
They're guys that would be like ninth players on an NBA roster, and they'd come in and just take horrible shots. They'd be played out of the league in two years, and they're going to be great international players. They'd be great number ones on an international team, but they're not going to be NBA guys. Pascal's a good one too. If I had to throw out one more, I'd probably throw out Kerwin Roach of Texas, 6'4". Pretty good ball handler, pretty good passer, could score a little bit. I like both of the. I think it's three of the guys. I like Howard, Frank Howard, Tyus Battle, and then O'Shea Brissett of Syracuse too.
Yeah,
I like those guys, but I don't know if they're really NBA pros and if they're going to come out. I think only one of them is a senior. I think. But those are some of the guys that are just coming off the top of my head.
I'll say this. Another one I like.
Oh, also Charles Bassey is overrated. He is not aggressive. He is slow. He's playing against. He looks slow in the Western Kentucky. That's a red flag right there.
One guy I'll throw in if he plays like he did against Old Dominion, I like him because we talked about him on the PTP with Matt, who's a Purdue fan, but Carson Edwards.
No, he's too small.
If he, yet again, like I said, with Corey Davis too, he was also 6'1". He's a guy that second round, if you want to take a flyer on him, like. The second round guys aren't the ones where it's like, man, they're going to be on my team and be a kind of staple. They're the guys, hey, take a flyer on them, and if they pan out being like Draymond Green, that's good. If not, it's a second rounder. They're literally just free tickets that you just throw out there and see what sticks.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to be it for the mock draft mailbag. Let us know down in the comments below who you like. What do we get wrong? Are you high on Cam Reddish? Do you love Bol Bol? Let us know. Can't wait. Just wait. In 3 years, I'll be right about Bol Bol. When Sean was right, we'll do it. I named one of my brackets when Colin was right, by the way.
Nice. Did
you?
I don't know why, but I did it.
Was it all of Colin Cowherd's picks? Was
no.
it just his bracket?
Literally just said when Colin was right.
Nice.
No reason. I don't even know what he picked.
Why did you name the one in the MVP group Net?
Because I put together a spreadsheet so last year I did offensive efficiency, which is just offensive rating.
You did net rating this time?
And defensive rating for two brackets, and the offensive rating turned out really well. So what I did was just literally subtracted offensive rating and defensive rating, and then got the net rating of every team. And I just literally picked off that. Because I was not going to just take my picks. My picks is actually doing way better, that bracket. But yeah, I just did that one just because I was just going strategic. Okay. Just try to get the actual winner. And it wasn't a Duke winner, which I thought, like, playing into a pool-wise, I was trying to win the pool. So
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing.
It's a bad bracket.
That's the thing that I said with March Madness this year. It's either you got to pick not Duke because everyone's going to pick Duke, or pick Duke and nail all the upsets the last 2 days.
All right, I got to go. So we're going to wrap it up. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostofpodcast. And also, don't forget, there's still a free $2 floating around from the end of last week's podcast. So check that out and Venmo, DM me on Twitter @mostofpod. But for Ricky Widmer, for Dave Oster, this is the Bol Bol Fan Club signing off. We'll see you next time.